And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, I'm Darren. Welcome to 8th Day Chronicles here at Cross Timbers Farm on this hot day. It's about 6 p.m. of the evening. I've purposely waited a little while till it cooled off to do some of this work. It's 92 degrees and it's so hot, but you know what? I put this off and off and off because of the heat we've had the last couple of months. It's just been ridiculously hot. I've been trying to wait for winter, or at least fall, to get some of this done. We're still in cleanup mode from Hurricane Helene, still. Why am I out here doing this and this hot? We got some plans. They're not set in stone. We haven't made our mind up fully, but the possibility exists sometime in the future of us bringing some livestock back to our farm and on our pastures that are just too steep for hay production, but they're excellent for livestock pasture. And we still got section of fence down here. This is the main section that went down during the hurricane. I don't know how many trees fell in this one group. There was a really huge big poplar tree and a big hickory tree. And the block I just sawed was off this hickory tree. That's part I'm working up now. When that big poplar uprooted and fell and went this way, what it appears, if you look at this pile of trees, they started first. And they took down tree after tree after tree with them. Probably didn't take a whole lot to push them on down and uproot them. All these trees are uprooted. None of them just broke off, they uprooted. The big huge poplar and the hickory took down, I don't know how many trees is in that pile. That's where they landed. I didn't push them there with a tractor bucket or nothing like that. That's where they ended up. I don't know if they 8 or 9 or 10 trees in a pile right here. We're trying to get them off of our pasture access road, the road that goes around our pastures on the outside of the perimeter fence. All spring and summer, well, last winter too, we have not been able to access all the way around our pastures on our access road because of all these down trees. Back during the winter when it was a little cooler, we just did not get around to all of it. There was so much destruction. There was no way we could get to everything and get it all done before it started getting hot weather. So here we are. I had planned on waiting till cooler weather to do this. All summer, it's been a pain in the rear not being able to go on through our road, having to stop here, turn around. There's some places over here I just can't access with our pull behind bush hog and a four-wheeler to get through here mowing to keep the outside of our perimeter fence clean like we always have in the past. So some of it I've had to weed eat about twice already this year so far when it got up waist high, and a lot of work, a lot of extra work for just because these trees blocking our road. Okay, that's reason number one. The second reason is all these trees took down about a 75 yard, maybe not quite that far, 50 yard section of our perimeter fence. And I've got all the fence pulled back out away. I done all that back in the winter or late last fall, so I wouldn't be sawing into any wires or anything. The fence has been down all spring and summer right through this section with all these trees. We got to get all these trees. First thing we're going to do is get our road open. And then we got to get these trees at least bucked into sections long enough where we can get them drug out of the field, all these tops and everything, and pushed down into the woods. There's so much wood down here. I've tried to be the very best steward I can of this land, and all the down trees, don't let these trees that's down go to waste. Make firewood out of them, help some people out. There's so many of them there's just no way. There are so many trees down on our property. If I go to cutting firewood out of every tree that's down and I try to make firewood out of all of them, I'll never get to them. They will end up getting punky and doty and starting to rot before I ever get to them. There's just so many of them. There's just no way. And so I'm sawing some of these into lengths that's maybe 4 or 5 feet, where when they hit the ground, I can just roll them and roll them off down into the woods. I don't know what else to do. We got to get our fence back up and get our road open. And the woods just gonna, I don't know. I hate just to let some of this rotten, but I don't know what it's to do with it. I'll never get to it before it does. I'm gonna salvage all I can, but we have some plans, maybe in the future, not this summer, but maybe in the fall or winter, or maybe even next spring. We just don't know yet, of possibly bringing some livestock back to our farm. And job number one in bringing some livestock back to our farm will be fixing our perimeter fence here and fixing our perimeter road that goes around the outside so we can keep the fence maintained. And we can't do any of that until this is cleaned up. And this is going to be a job. I'm thinking it may even be fall before we get this cleaned up out of here. There's that much of it. Because it's so steep in here, I can't get my tractor in here. It would be a rollover in a matter of minutes or seconds. So we're having to do all this by hand. Saw these blocks of wood up, these trees into lengths where 4 to 5 feet, depending on how big around they are and how heavy, that we can roll them or throw them off into the edge of the woods. And some of this will be laying right on the edge of the access road. So we can come back later and saw some of it up into firewood. But it'll be out of the way, and we can rebuild our fence and get some stuff in order. All right, it is so hot, sweat's just been dripping off of me, but the work must go on. All right, let's fire this steel MS-290 back up and get to working on this one log. I think I got 3 logs left to get off of our access road, and then I'll be able to go through with the ATV and a trailer or whatever. Two hickory logs and a huge red oak. I think that's all I lack. At least I can drive through. A lot of this wood's still gonna be up here in the field that we can later pull down, but at least I'll be able to drive through. Let's get at it. The next log to get out of our roadway is the second fork of this big hickory. And man, that wood is so hard. It's unreal and heavy. Great day is it heavy. And hard as a piece of granite. It'll dull your chain on your saw quick. If you're cutting a whole lot of hickory, you're going to have to sharpen a lot more than normal. Thank goodness the rest of what I got to cut today is oak to get everything out of the road, but I got to finish this hickory. Good gravy, is it hot? Muggy. I bet it's 80% humidity out. It's miserable. Anyway, this log, it's the last fork off this big hickory. And you can see I've got a piece sawed out of it to let the tension off of it. When you got a log like this and one end's got a big root ball attached to it with a lot of weight, and the other end is got all kind of other trees on top of it, on the lap of it and the treetop. It puts a lot of tension on it. And that tension, right here in the middle, the log was actually off the ground about that far. And when you cut that log, it's going to go boom like that. It's going to V down with that tension. It's got tension on the bottom and compression on the top. So we cut some under it out of a plunge cut, where you plunge the bar of the saw straight through the middle, and then I cut from the top. Then I went back in that same and come up through, and it worked good. I am not a logger. I'm not a professional tree feller. So the hate about how someone does it, if you post that on the internet, you're gonna get it. So there's so many opinions about how to cut a log, buck a log, one that's under tension or compression. And I'm not a professional. I do the best I know how to do safely. And if you do it different, that's perfectly fine, just so it's safe. As you can see, I did it and it's apart, so the tension's off of it, so it worked. So, and we'll just leave that at that. Goodness gracious, I don't think I got a dry thread on me. It's about to get dark on me. Here's the fence. I'm gonna show you the section it's down. Right there is where it ends, and the fence goes right through here and right out through there. You can see we're getting our road open. Okay, let's walk right over here and I'll show you where the fence starts. Where these trees fell, there is two fence posts that I couldn't ever get out of the ground. One of them, when I come down here after the storm and started getting this fence down to where I could start sawing some of these logs, I couldn't find one of the T-posts. I was like, where in the world? Is it covered up? I got to thinking it was under one of these logs. But based on the spacing where these T-posts are and where I put them, I knew that there couldn't be one that close, because there's one right here and it's drove in the ground till it's sticking out about knee high, or maybe a little thigh high. The next one over, I can't find it. I was like, where did that thing go? I got to digging around in the leaves and found the insulators. Got to raking around in the leaves under one of these logs and found that T-post. You could see the white paint on the top of that T-post about 3 or 4 inches sticking out of the ground. That's all it's out of the ground. That's how hard those trees fell directly on that. Drove it plumb in the ground. Here's the one that's sticking out about knee high. You see that? Look at that. I mean, that's about, right here's my knee. It's about knee high, little over knee high. Okay, and the other one, there was a log laying right in here, an oak log. That other one's right down in there somewhere. I'd have to rake around in all these weeds to find it. But right there's where the fence stops on the other side. Let's jump over. Let me show you. Up on a log. Okay. Here's the other one. Here's the end where it stops. Right there. Okay. And the fence is intact. There's our corner, and it goes right up the hill. Yeah, the wire is all loose and everything, but all the posts and everything is intact. And I've just took this wire and doubled it back over so I can patch it back together. But there's where it broke. And we got this huge red oak we got to get out of the road and out of the field. I mean, it's huge. I'm hoping that when I cut this red oak way down here, that big root ball will set back over. I think it will, because it's already leaning that way. Once I get this weight off, I'm pretty sure that root ball just might sit back down. I hope it does. I'm gonna walk this tree way up here and show you from way up high here. There's the pile of trees. Ain't that something? There's our road. You can still see part of the road. My saw's sitting in it there. This, the four-wheeler right down there. And the road comes right through. You can see I've got it about open there. And the road comes right on through and goes around this corner and up the hill. All right, let's see if we can get off this log. Around a farm, there's always something to do. Some kind of sweaty manual labor. And you know, I'm glad to do it. Too many people this day and time won't strike a lick if a snake's getting ready to bite them, much less do anything like this. Thanks for being with us today, and yeah, we may possibly be having some livestock back on the farm. That's yet to be seen. Thanks for being with us today here on a farm. I really appreciate it. Our channel's slowly growing, and I appreciate everybody that subscribed and joined our virtual farm family. I really appreciate all that. And we got the best subscribers on YouTube. I've said that a billion times, and I'll say it a billion more. We do. I ain't got a dry thread on me. Like I said earlier, we're tossing around the idea of bringing some livestock back on the farm. And before we can really even consider doing that, a couple things we have to do. We've got to repair all this Helene storm damage to our perimeter fence, which is not a terrible amount, but it's significant. And then we've got to get down in the woods, more trees down, to get a path cut and some trees out of the way, to get our ram pump running again, clear out that stream bed where the ram pump sits, and that spring water, the path for it, and replumb it back from the spring tank down to where the pump would sit, clear all that out, and then get it running and get a line run back up to the water tank in the pasture. A lot of things to do. So, and it's midsummer and it's hay season, and we just can't spend day after day down here working, and who would want to when it's 90 degrees? So we'll do what we can on certain days, and late of the evenings when it's, instead of being 95, it's 91. Do a little work down here and try to get some things up. It may be next year before we consider bringing livestock back, because we got a lot of infrastructure that was damaged. We'll have to get fixed and put back in place. And I don't know that we're going to get into this raising livestock like we did before. Me and Susan's talked a lot about it, and what we may do is just invest in like some feeder animals, what you'd call feeder animals, to buy them young and just raise them for the sole purpose of taking them to freezer camp later to fill our freezers, raise our own meat, because we got some of the best grass that they could graze ever. And it's got a little weedy since then, well, actually a lot weedy, but start clipping it again and getting some of these pastures, not the hay fields, the pastures, back in a little bit better shape. But animals will take care of a lot of that. And it's actually good for the soil to have the manure and the foot traffic and the urine and all that on these pastures. It really help them. But we're considering it. We've not made a decision, yay or nay, yet, but we're talking about it. And but before we can even really start looking for maybe some animals and some livestock, we've got to get our perimeter fencing fixed, get our water fixed back here. A lot of work to do. So, and we're starting back on this in this heat because of that. I thought, well, let's go some of the evenings when it cools off a little bit and see if we can at least get our road open. This road being blocked off all spring and summer's been a headache, because I can't bring my bush hog around through here. I come back here twice this year with a weed eater and have weed eated that whole road up through there, you know, about 8.5, 9 feet wide, all the way up through there. And a couple of times it was grown up chest high, and it was a chore to go up through there, weed eat every bit of that. To keep it off the fence. Even though we've not had livestock in the field, we've wanted to keep our fences and our perimeter fence in good shape, except for this. And we're trying to remedy that now. Thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it. I pray God blesses you and your family, and I pray you all have a fantastic day.